Welcome to the Orlando Holiday Guide podcast show, presented by Hugh Hattrick in association with its Orlando Time Facebook page. Trusted, acknowledged and respected. Good afternoon. You're listening to the Orlando Holiday Guide podcast show with me, Hugh Hattrick, and my very special guest, Kath Mills from Blixen Travel, the independent travel agents. And today we are going to talk all about, as you guessed, Orlando and why it's the place to visit and it can be the holiday of a lifetime. So then, Kath, you've had plenty of experience of going to Orlando. What would you say is so special about Orlando?
Thank you, Hugh. The special parts of Orlando are the moments when you see the magic through the eyes of your children. It's totally priceless. We've been to many areas of Orlando, and it appears that Orlando is a repeat holiday destination for all of our clients of different ages. It brings out the big kid in all of us adults as well.
It certainly does, isn't it? And the funny thing is, I remember going to Disney a few years ago, and I wasn't massively keen at the start, but once I actually got there, it kind of melted me. I was thinking, actually, this is really good fun. It was so much to see, and as you say, the children love it. And it's just a brilliant day out.
It is. We always say that it's the big kids' holiday because none of us ever really grow up. And certainly our children, when you see it through the eyes of the children, it's quite something. But in saying that, the oldest client that we've sent there was 87. And when they came back, they wanted to repeat it. They said if they could continue to go to Disney till they were 100, they would do it.
Yeah, it's amazing. It seems like Orlando, when you ask somebody or a family, have they either been or would you like to go? And the answer is yes to either one. It's that they're just desperate to go at some point. In fact, we're in doing this podcast in association with It's Orlando Time, which is a Facebook page which has over 184,000 members, all of which are keen Orlando fans, and they love to go to Disney and see exactly how to get the best deals and how to avoid any pitfalls, if there are any, of going to Orlando and Disney and Universal and alike. But it's really amazing just how far people will go and also how much money people will spend in order to go on holiday to Orlando. So tonight, we hope to be able to give you the best guidance that's out there on how to get the best deal and also find out why you would want to go to Orlando in terms of making sure you get the holiday that's right for you. Because the last thing you want to do is just book any old holiday and realise when you get there that it could have been a lot better depending on what your requirements are. So basically, it's one of the things that over 50 million people visit Orlando every year. I think it's one of the busiest or one of the most, the highest visitor numbers of just about anywhere in the world, I think, is people who go to Orlando. It
certainly is, Hugh. Yes, it's one of the most popular destinations in the world. And too many people, unfortunately, think that it's a once-in-a-lifetime holiday and is totally unaffordable. But we have a way of being able to prove to you that that may be slightly different in other people's eyes now.
Yeah. I remember the first time I went, it was back in 2008, when it was the financial crash. It literally just happened. And the person who I went with, a good old school friend of mine, had been frozen out of his Iceland account because it had just gone bust. So he was furiously trying to tap away onto his laptop to make sure he had any money left. But thankfully he managed it, as we had a week in Orlando to go around and see all the famous places. And we ended up going to Kennedy Space Center, and to Universal Studios. And at that time, you could get a ticket into Universal for about $90. It was unbelievably cheap. It's a little bit more now, I think, isn't it?
Yes, it's gone up slightly from that. But in saying that, we can still get people individual days into these places, as well as obviously being able to go on their 3, 4, 5, 7-day, 14-day ones that we have that join both Disney World and Universal Studios, as well as Disney World and SeaWorld, Lego World, all sorts of areas that we can pop you into where we can link in and get you better reductions on your tickets.
Well, that is very good to hear. And I'm quite sure that especially our listeners from the It's Orlando Time Facebook page will be very keen to find out exactly the kind of deals that will be on offer. Now, let's go to one of the most popular questions that I've had so far when I did a quick poll to ask questions as to what people would like to find out about regarding going to Orlando. And one of the main questions was, should you have a villa? Should you rent a villa for a couple of weeks? Or should you do a Disney hotel? What would you say, Kath, is the best thing for there? What do you think are the pros and cons to each?
Right, the pros of having a villa is if you are happy to drive and want to see a bit more of Florida rather than just going to the Disney parks, then hiring a vehicle and having a villa is a very good idea. More for the larger families, I would look at people doing that. The difference with the Disney hotels is that you're obviously on site. You don't have to worry about transfers or transport anywhere because it's all on site for you. You can get in and out of the parks without a problem. There are shuttle buses that run everywhere. But in saying that, we also have the options of hotels that are slightly outside of Disney. But again, we also have the offer on International Drive where we have transfer shuttles that take you in and out of all the parks on a daily basis anyway. So it would make very little difference to you. But the villa aspect of things, I would recommend more for large families or groups of, up to maybe 12 or 14 people that are wanting to go. Or if you've got a family that aren't too fussy about being in the parks all day and want to do something a little bit different, then certainly I would look at doing the villas and enabling them then to be able to drive around and have a little bit more to look at than just the Disney parks.
Yeah, because the Disney parks tend to be very busy. They can be, I think, pretty good. I mean, I've seen some amazing videos of people who have gone to Disney hotels, and they do look lovely, especially the Animal Kingdom Hotel. Is it that big? The one, the Safari Hotel. It looks incredible, actually. But I mean, you do pay quite a lot of money if you're going to stay in a Disney hotel, especially if you want to have the meals included and things like that. It can get a little bit more expensive if you want to stay there on site.
You do, but the handy thing as well is if people keep an eye on our Facebook page is we launch when we do the free Disney dining, and free Disney dining in the hotels can save a family of 2 adults and 2 children up to $2,500 for 2 weeks. So that can make a big difference, which you can't get if you are in a villa or if you happen to be staying on one of the hotels on International Drive.
Yeah, no, that's true, isn't it? And I think as well, being in one of the Disney hotels, you can literally go to the parks as soon as it opens. In fact, you sometimes can get in early, isn't it? I think some of the deals are that if you're in a Disney hotel, then you can get there before anyone else does. I think you get there about an hour early.
That's correct. With all our Disney hotel deals, we give you a fast track pass that enables you to get in an hour earlier than the general public in the morning and an hour later in the evening in the parks. And also enables you to get to the front of the queues of all the rides that we have available as well.
That's very good, actually, isn't it? And is that what they call a fast pass, isn't it?
It is a fast track pass, yes.
Fast track pass, yeah. I've also heard that there are these things called single line queues, or like some of the parks have them. So it means if you're happy to be split up a little bit, then you can go into a single line queue, and sometimes you can save a bit of time if the queue is rather big because they'll take you in a bit quicker, as it's just one person to fit into the trolleys and the roller coasters and things like that. Is that something that you think is probably worth it?
You can do that as well, but in general, with all of our bookings anyway, there is a way that we can get people that aren't staying in the Disney hotels upgraded to fast track anyway. So that then enables them to not have to worry about the single queues and having families split up. Our goal is to try and keep families together so they experience everything at one time, which is all part of the joy of going.
Yeah. And what would you say to people who maybe they're stuck for term time, like for the English holidays and the Scottish holidays, and maybe they can only travel in August? Because that's another big question we had. They can't take time off any other point in the year. Are there ways to getting better deals for August, especially for the English holidays?
The better deals for the English holidays and for any holidays, and it sounds a bit silly doing this, but if you're planning an Orlando holiday anyway, you've obviously got it in your mind. We're currently taking bookings up until September 2020 at the moment, with low deposits of £75 per person, and people can pay interest-free up until they go. But the main goal is to try and find deals that you work out when it comes to the airlines launching their prices. The airlines will release prices 11 months from your return date. So if you're returning on the 16th of August, then on the 16th of September the year before is when the cheapest flights come out. And that's the time for you to look at getting organised, booked up, low deposit and pay interest-free up until you go.
Yeah. And what would you say are there any good last-minute deals? Is it worth looking at that? I know we've done that a few times in the past and it's been quite good.
It really depends. It depends on if it's airlines trying to put people into seats on planes as to whether or not going last minute is the best way to do it. But a lot of our Orlando deals, people book well in advance purely because of the fact that it can be an expensive holiday. And you can obviously then pay it up interest-free until 14 weeks before you travel. But we can also do last-minute deals. Obviously, we get a lot of those as well. But it just depends really on how flexible people can be. And the summer holidays and the springtime is not really the time to be looking at doing late deals, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because it can be a little bit busy. I mean, we did that last year, but simply for our flights, because we already had our accommodation booked. So we had gone through Thomas Cook at that point for the flights. And it worked quite well from Manchester to Orlando International. At least it was a direct flight, which was much better than what we had done before. Because it was at other times we had to fly from Glasgow to Gatwick and then Gatwick out to Orlando. And when you've got young children, it can take quite a long time and takes a lot out of them when they're flying that far. But I think trying to get direct flights is quite good. Is that something that you can get quite easily?
Yes, flights? I mean, if people are flexible on where they travel from, then that's ideal. As you say, Manchester is extremely popular, but we're getting a really good turnaround at the moment from Edinburgh going directly with United Airlines.
Really?
And then we organise the transfers when we get in at the other side. So yeah, flying from Edinburgh now is becoming more and more popular because we have got the direct flight with United Airlines.
That's very good because I went with United from Glasgow in 2016, and they were actually quite good. They weren't too bad. And then we got another United flight from there to Orlando Airport after that, which was quite good. But yeah, I mean, would you recommend that Orlando International is the best airport to go into, or do you have? I know there's obviously Sanford Airport, which is just to the north of Orlando. Do you do deals to there as well, or is it a bit harder to get deals from there?
We do deals to there, but your better deals are always into Orlando International.
Right, because it's a bit more central.
And not even that, Hugh. It's to do with the frequency of the flights.
Right. So there's more flights coming in, or better times, and more
yes.
frequent.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's the thing. But so now, obviously, you being a travel agent, you've got lots of deals. But is there anything in particular that you found about Orlando that really stands out? I know at the start you were saying, obviously, seeing it from your children's point of view as they light up when they go into Magic Kingdom or one of these amazing theme parks. But I mean, there's just so much to do in Orlando. What would you say are some of the best places to see out with the theme parks?
Well, to be honest with you, I mean, when it comes to hotels and stuff, with regards to where I personally would go and stay, if I was there, is I would actually find that the best place for us to go and stay would be at Port Orleans French Quarter, as that's close to Disney Springs, which is full of shops and restaurants as well. So if you've got children or teenagers that are interested in looking at the sporting outlets shops and the designer outlet shops where you want to be coming back with a suitcase full of designer clothes at a lot less than you pay in this country, then we always try and recommend that people go out, with one spare suitcase, because certainly for teenagers that are looking for that sort of thing, it's certainly the place to go. One of the big things we would recommend as well is, I mean, the children and the adults enjoy all the parks, but out of choice, if I was going with teenagers that weren't particularly into Disney, or if it was boys especially, then I tend to find that Universal sells a lot better for the teenagers. There's a lot more for teenagers to do at Universal, whereas Disney, I would always recommend sort of below the 12s, and obviously all us oldies that want to be back in childhood again. But there's plenty to do around Orlando, lots of different places to go and visit as well, if that's what you want to do. What we're tending to find now is that you'll get people, our repeat customers have maybe done Disney World one year, and then the following year they decide they want to do Universal Studios, give themselves a bit more time to do Busch Gardens and to go round a little bit more Kennedy Space Station, rather than trying to do everything in 2 weeks. They're tending to find it's actually better just to split it, because it is quite an exhausting holiday otherwise, especially for adults when they have got young kids. And there is just so much to do and see. So sometimes it's quite nice to be able to split it up a bit and have a bit of a break when it comes to doing it. Yeah,
no, definitely. I mean, every time we've gone, we've done a maximum of 3 parks. And we've tended just to go for one day to the parks. Because with really young children, that's all they needed. They didn't need to go back again and again and again. They were quite happy just to see the place for one day. And then they got a bit more variety, because then we actually went on a tour of Orlando, and it was fantastic. The actual city was lovely. So we went into Orlando, we went up to Daytona and did the Daytona Raceway tour, which was brilliant. Really, really enjoyed that. I'm hoping to go back at some point and see either the Daytona 500 or one of the races that they put on there, because it's phenomenal. Because you're so close to the action, and I think it's something that would be amazing to experience, that kind of racing over there. Also, you can drive on Daytona Beach. You can take your car onto the beach there. So we've done that a few times, and that's been brilliant. But I know a lot of people like to go to Clearwater, and Tampa, because there's lovely beaches there, and it's very clean. It's very laid back, and it's a bit different, something a bit different than just the theme parks. It's a very nice part, of Florida. Also, we went to Sarasota, and that was absolutely stunning. The beach there was this wonderful white sand, and it actually keeps your feet cool. It doesn't get that hot. So it's great for children, because it means they're not going to be burning up. Obviously you need to put suntan lotion on them, but at least it's a lot more pleasant than trying to run across hot sand. But no, it was lovely. I strongly recommend Sarasota, if you're going to do a villa holiday, because it's just so lovely to see, and you can go to these amazing museums, and there's a lot of culture down there as well, which is great. Is there any other places in particular that you would recommend going to?
To be honest, I think you've probably covered all what I was going to say. So, no, that's absolutely perfect.
Sorry about that.
No, you've done well. Thank you, Hugh.
But yeah, well, why don't we go on to some of our special offers, and adverts, as you've obviously got them there prepared, and I'm sure our listeners will be wanting to see what are the best deals that they can get for you. Now,
well, I'm wanting to also just bring up for you the 2019 new parks that are opening up and new rides that are opening up for you. Would that be of interest to you?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, definitely. We'll do a rundown of the new theme parks or the new rides that are opening up for 2019.
That's great. Well, we've got the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge that's opening up at Disney's Hollywood Studios. That's going to open up in the late fall of 2019. We have Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway that's opening up at Disney's Hollywood Studios, but there's no confirmed date on that one yet. That one's still to come. We also have the Harry Potter themed roller coaster at Universal Studios. That's opening up early 2019. We have the Tigress roller coaster at Busch Gardens. That's opening up in the spring of 2019. We then have the Lego Mouse World at Legoland in Florida. That again is opening up in 2019 in the spring. We also have Sesame Street opening up at SeaWorld Orlando. We've got the Aquatica Orlando opening a new water slide called Cara Cara Curl. It's supposed to be a very exciting ride, I gather. Lightning McQueen is getting a new show at Disney's Hollywood Studios to help teach kids the art of driving. So not the skills of driving, but the art of driving, which should be very fun, I gather.
I'm going to go to that.
You need to. Magic Kingdom is unveiling a Move It, Square It, Move It, Dance It, which is a new dance show that they're opening up again for children. And then Universal Studios will be opening a brand new live action show to replace Terminator 2 in 3D. And those are all due to be coming in 2019 to Orlando. It's actually, they say, the biggest year in Orlando for new areas opening up. They're having the most of them as happening in 2019 over any other year that they've had themes and themed areas opening up within Orlando.
Because is it not coming up? Is it 50 years or thereabouts?
It's coming up, yeah.
Yeah, is it next year? I think, is it 50 years for Orlando? Because I know they were doing a lot of work this year when we were there in April, getting all the roads done up as you go in and out of Orlando and International Drive and joining up with all the theme parks. They were making sure everything was ready for the celebrations. But it's quite a place. In fact, one of my friends, they went to Hollywood Studios this year and they saw the Indiana Jones. You know, it was a live action event of the Indiana
amazing.
Jones.
If you've not been to it, you need to see that.
Yeah, I said to
quite
my
incredible.
wife I definitely wanted to see it. This looked absolutely fantastic. And also the Star Wars live action stuff when they've got the stormtroopers walking past you and all sorts of things. I mean, it's just brilliant. I mean, you just can't get that anywhere else. It's just an amazing thing to see.
I think you qualify for the label of big kid, Hugh.
Yeah. Never growing up, you know.
No, that's the phrase, but we're all the same. You wouldn't go to Orlando if you had grown up, because we never grow up, really.
Yeah. Oh, it's something. I've had so many great adventures in Orlando. I just love it. It's just the best place ever, I think. There's so many things to do, and also there's, I mean, but let's talk about the food and the restaurants and things like that. I mean, there's so many restaurants you can choose, and most of them are pretty decent as well,
Yes,
especially,
yeah,
on
there are
International
loads of
Drive.
different restaurants, and that also, when it comes to staying in a Disney hotel, that's also the bonus of the free Disney dining as well, as it enables you to dine around. You don't just have to eat in one place the whole time. And,
Yeah.
for a saving of $2,500 for a family of four over 2 weeks, when
Mm.
these offers are launched, they're ones that people should really grab. And we do advertise them well in advance on our Facebook page to make people aware as to when they're going to be launched.
Ah,
And it does make a big difference if people are wanting to stay at a Disney hotel. Then it is certainly something that's worth keeping an eye on. We
yeah.
also have times of the year where we'll launch the free shuttles like we've got at the moment for an offer for October half term next year.
Uh-huh.
And that's not actually at a Disney hotel, it's outside on International Drive, but we've got the complimentary shuttles that take you to Disney and Universal as well. So,
Yeah.
there are always these little deals coming up that just make your life an awful lot easier. And eating around in Orlando is just, I mean, there's so much choice. You come back
Yeah.
here and, you think you've had a good burger until you've been to Orlando. And then you think,
Uh-huh.
if nothing else, I'll just go back to Orlando to have a burger because, it's a decent size. And you think you're getting
Yeah.
a decent sized pizza here. And then you go back to Orlando and, you're getting a 17-inch one instead of a 12-inch one. And, it's really quite phenomenal, to go over there.
Yeah.
And thankfully you do so much walking around the parks that actually you need to eat a 17-inch pizza. So it's okay to do it.
Yeah, that was the thing. That's one of the things as I'm writing my Orlando holiday guide, which will be out hopefully in the next few months or so. We're just getting it edited and sorted out, and we're almost finished. It's basically about getting, you need to be fairly fit to really make the most of it because it is a lot of walking when you go to these theme parks, and you need to be kind of capable to be able to do that. I think to get the most out of it. Otherwise, especially with the heat, you're going to struggle if you can't really walk around. I mean, I know there are scooters and you can rent. You can get like wheelchairs and things like that if you're disabled, but you need to be, I think, relatively healthy, I think, to get the most out of it.
Yes, we also do disabled holidays to Florida. We've got quite a large market of accessible holidays that we do.
Uh-huh.
And that's something else that is very, very important because we also
Yeah.
have sections where you've got the beach areas at the sort of water parks, which are the beach areas, and people are wanting to go down to those, and people that are requiring assistance. We also are able to get hold of wheelchairs that have extra wide wheels, which means that they can go onto the beach and into the sand without having to have a problem. They can still go down as a family to enjoy the beach holiday side of it without having to worry about leaving the person that's in a wheelchair behind, because we can get the extra wide wheels on the different wheelchairs that we have. And we
Uh-huh.
do an awful lot of accessible holidays for people with disabilities.
That's really good to know because it is a bigger market now, and I think people just want to be able to enjoy the same experience as everybody else. And now and I do tend to find that at the theme parks, access is actually very good. Everything tends to be on the flat. And if they have the up and downhill sections, they're very slight. They're not, so they plan them pretty well nowadays.
The other thing we also have is for children that have autism as well, is that we have special lanyards that we give to the families to enable them to have safe entry through places like Edinburgh Airport. They get taken on back routes through the airport to stop them getting distressed and having any trauma going through airport situations for children
Ah,
with autism or children with
yeah,
disabilities that can't deal with the noise. We also have
yeah,
that
yeah.
available. And the other thing to always bear in mind as well is flying via Ireland, from the point of view that you clear customs there. So if you
All
do
right.
have people that are going, then it's always worth bearing in mind that more so probably for our New York trips, but we have an awful lot of people that go via Dublin purely from the point of view that you can clear American customs there, which saves you the hassle at the other end.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's good to know because that does make a big difference, especially if you have young children.
It
Because by the time
does,
you
yeah.
get there, it can be about an hour by the time you get through it. Well, I did notice that this year when we got there, it was a bit quicker because now it's all electronic. So it's
Yeah,
not quite as bad, but it's still quite a hassle. Trying to get the kids not to smile for the passport photos, when they have to do the
that's it.
camera, it's actually quite difficult because you can't go in
Yeah.
the picture with them. So you've got to try and get them to stand there, get into the photograph in the first place, and then not smile. So that was quite fun when we had to try and do that. And also Orlando Airport is pretty humid and warm.
It is, yeah.
So it's one of these ones, it really takes it out of you by the time you get off the plane, and then eventually get to your rental car and get it all sorted out on the bus. But no, that's great. Well, there we are. We've covered quite a bit in our first Orlando Holiday Guide podcast show. I'm sure there'll be plenty more questions to come. Now, we're doing this in association with It's Orlando Time, the Facebook page. There are currently 184,000 members, so perhaps you might be the next member of that wonderful Facebook page. It's a very good community. If you have particular questions regarding Orlando, it's a great one to just write the question on the group, and you'll be amazed at how many answers you get. And of course, we have Kath Mills here from Blixen Travel, who can supply you with the holiday of your dreams to Orlando. So what's the best way to get in touch with you, Kath, if somebody wants to get in touch regarding a holiday?
Would you like my half-term offer for next year? And then I can let you know the details of how to contact us.
Yeah, certainly.
We have an Orlando half-term offer on that's going to be on for the next few weeks with limited availability departing on the 26th of October 2019. It's 14 nights at the Ramada Plaza on International Drive. Included in that is your 14-day Disney Ultimate tickets, complimentary shuttle buses to Disney and Universal Studios, including your return airport transfers, flying from either Heathrow, Manchester or Glasgow, based with 2 adults and 2 children with a starting price of £1,329 per person for 14 nights, with a £75 per person deposit. And that's limited availability at that price, but that's something to make you aware of. You can keep up to date using our Blixen Travel Facebook page. If anybody would like to have more information or would like to look at booking, then probably email Hugh would be the best way at info@blixentravel.com. And very, very important for all bookings involving children is that we require their dates of birth, please, because it all goes on the children's ages as to what prices we can get for the flights.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's super. Now, that, just to remind you of that deal, that included Disney, and did it also include Universal tickets as well? Or was it just
That's
Disney?
just the 14-day Disney Ultimate
Disney
tickets
Pass.
included in that one.
Yeah, but that's a very, very good deal. Really, for everything included for that is brilliant. Well, that's fantastic. Well, we look forward to doing another Orlando Holiday Guide podcast show very soon. We hope that's answered some of your questions. I know there'll be plenty more, but please feel free to give us a email. You can also give me an email directly, which is podcast@hughhatrick.com. And I will do my best to mention your question in the next podcast, or hopefully answer your questions too. But to Kath Mills, thank you very much for coming on the show tonight. And we look forward to speaking to you again in the very near future. And it's been fantastic. And to all our listeners, take care and have a great holiday in Orlando. Bye just now. At cardioadvisor.co.uk, we can help you save thousands of pounds on your next new car or van. And we can also source second-hand cars as well. And we can save you money on car rental, whether it be in the UK and abroad. Just click our rental link on the website. And we'll give you a free gift if you trade in your car with We Buy Any Car using our special website link. So go to the website now and see how much you can save.